Welcome to Food, Wine, and Whiskey, a podcast about having fun conversations on tasty dishes, vinos, and spirits from around the world. Rob is your host. He is an avid home chef, WSET Level 2 award in wine, and a whiskey drinker and collector. Time to set the table. Here's Rob.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Carter back with me. How you doing, Carter?
Hey, man, I'm good.
We are a little wine episode. It's been a couple weeks or so since we've had a wine episode.
We've consumed some wine.
Yeah, let me start by saying one thing, if you don't mind.
Okay.
They want to drink Merlot. We're drinking Merlot.
Oh, no, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot.
Okay, just so we're clear on this.
Wow. I tell you.
What do we have in the glass?
Merlot. It's so funny. Like that single phrase in that stupid movie, which is actually a good movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
But that single phrase in that movie probably put people off Merlot for like the next 20 years that weren't really into wine.
Even though his iconic wine at the end that he wanted so badly and ended up drinking was Merlot heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that Paul Giamatti personally did detriment to Merlot producers.
Some people think there or have said there's evidence to prove that. I don't know. But I would say it's bounced back. But it's one of the best lines in the in the wine movies.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Sideways has got to be. It's got to be up there as the number one wine movie, right?
It would be in my top 5.
Okay. I mean, Bottle Shock is a good
there.
one.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
I mean, but then I'm starting to think of like documentaries and stuff.
Then they become more. Sour Grapes is a good one.
Sour Grapes, yeah, that's good. But
yeah, you get into some more of the.
I'm so glad you pulled that clip.
Yeah,
that is
you
so
didn't know that
funny.
was coming.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
That is so funny, and it's so appropriate that we're drinking Merlot right now.
Yeah, we are. We are drinking one I haven't opened in a while, but it's from Sonoma. So this is Alexander Valley. This is La Storia, and it's 2015 Merlot. It's from Block 500, and it's estate bottled, so it's a solid little wine.
15 was a pretty good year in that area.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting good things. Man, can you imagine? I used to think 15. I was like, man, that's gonna be young wine. It ain't young wine.
No, I mean we're talking 8 going on 9 years old. I mean,
you can open that. No problem.
Probably should, but no, this is holding up nicely.
The nose is great on it. Still got a lot of fruit. I mean, big fruit. I mean, as you would expect, but. Anyway, really, really nice. Thank you for opening this, by the way.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So we're coming out of, we're here in Houston. We say this a lot on our show, that we're in Houston, and, we are under the magnifying glass. It is hot here. And
we feel like the insect being burnt to death.
Yes, we do. And we recently feel like they've lifted that that
magnifying glass
a little bit. Fall has shown up finally.
Yeah, we're in the 70s.
Yeah, today I think it's a high of 76 or something like that.
What's that about the everyday temperature in Napa is like 75?
Yeah, something like that. So they're going this. You guys are still, But anyway, it's nice weather has rolled in, and in the summertime here in Houston, you and I over the last few years have become bigger white wine drinkers.
Yeah, I mean, really, I'm just going to speak personally. I've always had the love for red wine. I mean, that's how I started getting
Same,
into
and I think
wine.
most men would admit that.
Yeah, but I can tell you, I drink a lot more white wine than I do red wine these days.
Well, we've come to discover that white wines are fantastic.
They really are.
But you align that with the hot weather in Houston for as many months as we have that hot weather. White wine just is the play, and they're so versatile with food.
Yeah,
they're a little more refreshing.
I was going to say, I think the cuisine also pushes you toward white wine when you're in the summertime. And I know we're kind of going to get into this a little bit, but like you cook fish tacos, you're cooking,
You're eating lighter. It's hot.
Yeah,
you don't want a heavy, rich, warm you up kind of meal because you're not
ceviche
cold.
And stuff that's the kind of stuff that you're eating in the summertime.
White wines and champagnes. That's where it's at in the
We're
summer
not
in
making
Houston.
big, I will do this, but, we're not making shepherd's pie and short ribs and risotto,
beef stroganoff,
and stuff like that. During the summertime as much. You just don't. I mean, we have air conditioners, so yeah, we can crank it down, but it just doesn't feel as.
And it may have done that.
Yeah, but it just doesn't feel as right?
No, it doesn't. It's not the season.
Yeah,
it's hot as hell outside, and you just want something that. Yeah, again, you're not eating as heavy, and that's kind of what. It's funny, Matt. I used to be the guy that I didn't think anything about food and wine as a pairing, but as I've done this and explored the world of wine and gotten into wine more.
Gosh, don't you just...
It just matters.
It does.
And not necessarily that you have to have the perfect wine. I'm not saying if you have fish tacos that there's one white wine you have. There's not. Just, I would prefer a white wine.
I think there's some crossover red wines that work in the summertime.
Sure.
Like, I'll drink kind of a Zinfandel in the summertime once in a while.
Especially with some barbecue or something if you're cooking out back.
That's good. I mean, I've gotten into drinking... not necessarily Provence rosés, but rosés, that kind of a little beefier, I guess.
Tavel,
a
little beefier,
things like that. I don't even think like a something like a Beaujolais or something isn't bad for a summertime.
Look, I there were times I still had red wine. Look, in the summertime, I'm still cooking a steak every once in a while.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to have a red wine with steak, and there's times I'm still not as frequently might be making a pasta. And so I'm, tomato-based pasta, going to have a red wine. But as a rule and in general, I'm consuming way more white wine in the summertime and sparkling wine than I am my reds. And with the weather shifting, the season's changing, we're getting back into that time of year where reds are going to be more of the focus now.
Yes.
And so that's today's conversation. What we're looking forward to drinking more. Not that we haven't drank these or we just don't drink them as much. So we're looking forward to the colder weather, the bigger, kind of richer, kind of heavier meals.
Yep.
And what wines we're going to enjoy with them. And that's kind of the discussion today.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you, just as, we're both personal cooks and, and we love to cook and everything like that. Some of my favorite things to eat in the wintertime are short ribs, beef stew, beef bourguignon, like making like a lamb, like a lamb shank.
What about the French dish?
Coq au vin?
Yeah,
I love coq au vin.
Yeah,
coq au vin. That'd be an interesting one as far as the pairing goes. But things like that, shepherd's pie.
Just a beef stew.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stews and stuff that you're going to make, or a roast.
Oh, a roast.
With some carrots and potatoes.
That kind of stuff, chicken and dumplings is another one, chicken pot pie, things of that nature, And again, there's not that you can't drink white wines with like, for instance, any chicken dish or whatever. I mean, I wouldn't kick that out of bed. But the bigger, beefier dishes that also incorporate wine.
That's what I was just going to mention. You beat me to it. I was going to say, when you put red wine in the dish.
Oh, yeah.
So your big bolognese and things like that.
Yeah. Sure. Things of that. A lasagna's nice.
Oh, man. Lasagna season's around the corner. Here's one for you that doesn't have red wine necessarily. I guess you could. Maybe it's something I'll try. I'm a big chili guy.
I was just thinking that, you know what? It might actually be pretty good in there.
I'm wondering. It could be a different play on a chili. I kind of create some versions that I enjoy and never done a little splash of red wine in my chili.
Well, that's a good thing about chili is it's very versatile.
It is.
I mean, you can do kind of different things. I mean, you can.
And again, we're talking about the meal, not the condiment.
Not the
difference.
This one, the meal has beans and the condiment has no beans.
Yeah, it goes on a hot dog or
Chris
on a burger.
Francis, if you're listening, I know you're already pissed off.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of it. Yeah, I mean, dishes that incorporate wine. Oh, I mean, that just
gotta love them.
Gotta love that, right?
Yep.
And then you get kind of excited about it. Like, I think I get. I don't know because generally speaking, white wines you open them sooner. You enjoy them more off the shelf, that kind of thing. What's kind of cool about red wine, I was thinking about this, is like when you're planning that meal. And then you're thinking about, ooh, I've got something I really want to open. Like you start getting that kind of.
Oh, I think that's a great point because to your point, white wine is just, I want a Chablis or I want a Chenin Blanc or
and not saying some
Blanc.
of those age poorly or anything like
that. No, but in general, to your point, white wines, you don't think about age. You're not trying to get something out of an aged white wine. Typically, they're made to be drunk early.
Yes.
And so that's fine. But to your point, red wine, now you might be going, okay, I want to cook this deal. And you go, wait a second, I've got some old, 15-year-old blanc, blanc, blanc.
That I really want to open.
Yeah.
So what do I want? What kind of dish do I want to prepare?
And the people coming over, you know what? I do like them. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one.
Yeah. This, and I'll have a bottle of Yellowtail for the ones
that we don't like.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the cool thing about like the wintertime, at least because I get more jazzed about cooking in the wintertime too. I mean, I always like to cook, but like I get more jazzed about cooking in the wintertime because I'm like, oh, baby, something I can braise for like 24 to 48 hours.
Where the house just smells fantastic.
Oh, and the things that come to mind, like as far as, aromas or like rosemary, sage, thyme, some of these more fall, winter type of spices, that you use, and they just permeate your entire house.
Yep.
That is
where the wife's been out for a while and then she comes home and you've been cooking and she's like, oh my God, the house smells great.
Yeah. I love that.
And it's not a candle.
No, it's not a candle. Though I am a big candle fan, just letting you know.
Yeah, just FYI.
If you want to send me a gift, I love candles.
Right. You want to talk about some of the red wines, the varieties, and then we can get into regions and things that we're looking forward to enjoying this fall.
I kind of started off. I like Syrah quite a lot, and as a bigger wine, I do enjoy that in the fall time, and particularly I think things that come to note as far as like, you've got OG, which is like, Northern Rhone, big, big wines. But then you've got even like, you've got Shiraz.
Still Syrah.
Still Syrah.
Just spelt differently.
In Australia, I mean, there's plenty of, I think there's a lot of representation in, California.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that's a great wine for the wintertime. And you can pair it with many different things, but meats, obviously, red meat comes to mind.
Sure. Yeah. And the way I describe Syrah, you kind of said it, it's meaty.
Yeah.
It's a big, full-bodied kind of wine. And I always think about black pepper and dark fruits, a little bit of violets, maybe a little licorice and boysenberry with some herbs and olives. That's kind of what I get when I have a nice Syrah.
And then when you get what I like about Syrah is that, it ages so well.
Yeah.
And so if you're lucky enough to get something or want to pay the money to get some of the, like Hermitage or something like that, something big that's got some age on it. Man, those tertiary notes that come from Syrah are just so good.
Lovely. I've been wanting to say lovely more often. So
you
lovely.
Should.
Those are lovely.
Just lovely.
Delightful.
Yeah. And they can have, they can be a little funky sometimes. They can be, mushroomy and all that kind of thing. And it's just
delightful.
Just a
lovely
and delightful.
Yeah.
That's
been watching a lot of English shows, and so lovely and delightful.
Yeah, so
and I'm like, I need to say lovely more.
Yeah,
nice.
you really should. I'm going to start using bugger off.
This is a lovely wine we have. Right here.
It's a lovely one. Delightful,
very delightful.
But I mean, like when I think of, I don't know, man. I just like Syrah. Syrah makes me happy.
Yeah, I think Syrah is absolutely on my list of what I'll be drinking more of this fall. And you hit it with the Northern Rhone, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can get a nice Côte de Rhone.
Yeah. Or I mean, there's some banger wines in
Northern Rhone.
In Northern Rhone for sure that are value.
Yeah.
But if you go to New World, you can get some.
Yeah, I think Australia, when people think New World Shiraz,
yeah,
that's the first place I think they go to. That's kind of the grape that's been kind of they've kind of taken in and adopted
Yeah.
as their national grape, if you will. I think that's shifting a little bit because they're doing a lot of other things very, very well. But, when you think Australian Shiraz, it's not hit or miss. You pretty much think you're going to get something of quality with whatever you get. It's not going to be horrible, at least for what's distributed, that we see here in the States. Penfolds is obviously the one that comes to mind.
Yeah,
most.
that's the big producer, Well, I guess they're a big producer now. As at one point they weren't, but I'd say, and you don't have to spend, tons of money on it either. I mean, if you don't want to.
Yeah. California, I think you do see some Syrah. I think you see more of that maybe out of Paso. I think when you get into, you see it in Napa and Sonoma, but I think you see, for me, I'm just remembering, I think I see more Petite Syrah in those regions than I do Syrah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Paso is more that area.
Syrah, which are some fantastic ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Cobblers Creek makes some great Syrahs.
Paso used to be, I mean, I guess I'm thinking of, I should think of how old I am, but, Paso at one point was like, oh, new kid on the block. All this, they ain't been a new kid on the block for a while. So,
they've been around. They've done a better job. There's another region in California, getting off topic a little bit, but we do that on the show.
Yeah, it's okay.
You've said that, yeah.
Yeah.
Santa Barbara, that area has some great Pinot Noirs for California. They just don't get distributed as well. Paso does a pretty good job of.
Yeah,
but there's still quite a few wines that don't get distributed from Paso too. So definitely, if you've been in Napa a couple times, it'd be worth maybe taking a trip to Paso or to Santa Barbara, exploring some of those other California winemaking regions because there's some good ones.
What are you thinking about this wine right now?
Boy, you know what? You're catching me off guard. I hadn't thought a whole lot about it, other than I really enjoy it.
I'm thinking it needs maybe just a little bit more air.
It's a little tight.
It's drinking a little bit tight.
Yeah.
I bet by the time...
But it's still delightful.
I bet by the time we get to the end of this episode, it's going to be drinking real good.
Yeah, it's still very tight. But when we just opened it and poured it, probably would have been better to have
decanned it or something like that.
Or just let it open up and breathe for an hour while...
Yeah, that's no biggie.
Just pulling the veil back a little bit. We're doing multiple episodes today, so we recorded a breakfast sandwich episode, part 2. If you haven't went and listened to those, pretty fun.
Yep.
Pretty revealing on where you can get some quality fast food breakfast sandwiches.
Yep.
I was a little surprised.
Yep. So listen to that for sure.
So on this episode, you got Syrah.
Okay, and it apparently made your list.
It did make my list.
Okay.
Yeah, I ended up, and I'm not limited to these, but these are the first ones that jumped out to me that I'm looking to drinking more of this winter. And I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on my list that just kind of came to mind. And I made a few notes about them. And one that I've been wanting to do for a while, for more than a year, I want to plan a dinner around this wine, this variety. You know what it is?
Fortified wines.
No.
Dang.
That would be a good one. That would be 9 and 10 on my list because those are a separate category.
Okay.
This was Cab Franc.
Oh, yeah.
I love Cab Franc. And I'm looking forward to going into winter and drinking some more Cab Francs.
Now, there's well, obviously it's been a little history on Cab Franc. It's what is it, the granddad to
the parent
to Cabernet Sauvignon.
Sauvignon Blanc and Cab Franc had a baby called Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay. So I didn't. I would have passed that test question on the W set.
Yeah, you got the idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're a Cabernet Sauvignon fan, then it's likely you're a Cab Franc fan.
Yeah.
Traditionally been used as mostly a blending grape, though, up until
in regions. Unless you go to the Loire Valley, it's the star.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, that's the grape of choice there. They're known for their Cab Francs, and it's a region that I love. In Chinon.
Yeah, well, in Loire Valley, I opened a Cremant from the Loire
really?
Valley that was all Cab Franc that was really tasty.
All Cab Franc?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was a little bit different,
Yeah.
But
and those who don't know, a Cremant is a sparkling
it's
wine.
A sparkling wine that is
made in the
traditional method. However, Of course, I'm coughing the minute I'm talking. But however, it is not made in the Champagne region, so it cannot be classified as champagne. And there's some different rules with Cremant. I think the aging isn't quite as long, and there's certain little things.
Yeah, and just so you know, Cremant is any other region in
France
that makes sparkling in the Champagne method.
Correct. Yeah.
Just can't be champagne, to your point, because it's
Right.
not in Champagne.
Right.
I'm going to give, just with these grapes, people are going to think they sound a little similar, but they're not. I mean, they are, but they're not. They have these nuanced differences and can be, winemaker style and things like that. But Cab Franc is, big ripe aromas of, blackberries and black fruit, hints of red pepper. You get leather, you get herbs on this. It tends to have, or a lot of times people will notice this kind of green characteristic of Cab Franc. Some people think it's a little off-putting. People like me kind of look for it and enjoy it, kind of like the petrol in a good Riesling.
That a little gasoline funk.
Hey, who doesn't like a little gas poured on it?
Yeah, I mean, hey, I don't get like this full on gasoline.
No, it's just this hint of petrol. But anyway, back to reds.
Yeah,
I just on my list, and maybe when you talk about one, I just wanted to give a little kind of profile of it so that people who may not be familiar with these grapes, they get some idea of what to expect. From the aromas and the flavors.
Cool.
So, but Cab Franc fan, I know you are.
Big fan, and
your wife Péjus, one of her favorites.
Yeah, she loves the Cab Franc from Péjus. Yeah.
So right now I've got probably 25 different producers in the fridges of Cab Franc.
Dang, that's a lot.
That's a lot. That's why I say I want to do a big dinner. I talked to Tyler Martin. His wife Ashley's big Cab Franc fan.
She is?
Oh, huge. That's her favorite grape.
Sick. I love it.
Yeah, so I talked to them about, let's do a Cab Franc dinner one night.
Yeah, man.
And, a little good food, great Cab Francs, and some college football or something. I mean, who'd
just
argue with that?
Just make sure LSU isn't one.
Oh, okay. I mean, he's an LSU guy.
I know.
Oh, okay. Hey, I was at the Missouri LSU game last week in Columbia, Missouri, and crap, we kind of pooped ourselves and fell apart. But we bounced back last night and beat
I saw
number 24 Kentucky by 17. Shame on you, NCAA pundits who think Missouri always sucks. I mean, anyway, I won't get on that tangent.
Yeah.
6-1, here we come.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
Here you go. Yeah. There you go. Well, I mean, anyway, I'm not going to talk too much about college football, but it's so up in the air this year, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, SEC especially.
Oh, big time.
SEC
big time. But, okay. So
regions for Cab Franc. We said Loire Valley.
Obviously France, but I mean, if you want to talk about in the blending regions, I mean, Bordeaux obviously uses Cab Franc.
Especially on right bank. It's Merlot Cab Franc heavy. Cab Franc is the second grape for the most part. Sometimes the first, but usually
happens
the second.
to be the bank I like to hang out on.
I'm with you, Merlot.
Yeah, I mean, but California.
They want to drink Merlot. We're drinking Merlot.
No, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot!
Well, there you go. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
We like Merlot. He keeps butting in on that.
I know. I mean, he's really adamant about this.
Rude about it, if you ask me.
But yeah, I mean, like New World. You've got
Chile makes some good.
Chile, yeah.
Argentina makes some great Cab Francs.
Yeah.
Katina makes some really good ones up on the mountain.
Is
Andes
Australia
there.
getting into that at all?
I think so. That's one that we need to explore.
Yeah, I think I remember they might be dipping their toes in that.
I'm pretty sure they are. But I will say this: Napa producers, there's several of them that make really good Cab Francs, and those same several of them have a version from Mountain Fruit, whether it's Atlas or Diamond Mountain or Howe Mountain.
Yeah.
There's some really good Cab Franc being grown up on the mountains and some really good shit going in the bottle.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I'd say I'd love to do a nice little comparison, though, doing Loire Valley.
Well, that's my point with the Cab Franc dinner. It's going to be pulling out 10 different ones from all over the place and just tasting through them and maybe
I don't
blind,
think I've
maybe
ever
not.
done that comparison.
Yeah.
I think every time I drink Cab Franc, it's almost kind of like a one-off.
Same. And I'm like, I want to see the difference, because that's what makes wine fun too, right?
Yeah.
Is you like a variety, and then, based on climate and terroir and all this stuff, how is it different, around the world? And that's kind of the fun of exploring things. And I think, doing a dinner where you focus on a variety and then examples of that variety from all over the globe, and then just drinking through and talking, either blind or open.
Yeah.
I always tend to lean more blind, so you're not influenced by what's on the bottle, and then kind of come back and, write down your notes, come back and discuss what you thought about it.
Yeah, we're fans of that on this show.
Yeah,
for
a little
sure.
bit, huh?
I'm down.
Okay, so put that on the list of things coming
Let's
soon.
do that. Let's do that.
All right, what's another one you got?
I would, we kind of stepped into it a little bit. I love some Right Bank Bordeaux.
Yeah.
And this is the season. 'Tis the season for nice big dishes where you can drink some of those guys.
Talking about that, what are a few winter dishes that you're looking forward to having this fall, this winter?
I can't wait to make another stroganoff.
Okay. I made it for the first time last week.
Okay.
I kind of told you that story of how that came to be, but I never had it or made it. I made it, and I thought I did a pretty good job. But just talk me through, what are the ingredients in yours? I mean, do you use I'll just let it out. I used filet. I read several recipes that said, a filet or a ribeye or the higher end cut of meat, and I thought, man, on a ribeye, so much fat and gristle that you trim off. How much meat are you actually left with?
Oh yeah,
with
I'd go filet all day long.
It's so lean, and when you sear that off, it's still tender, and in a sauce, it's just going to kind of saute a little more,
Well, yeah, and then you're putting it with pasta. I mean, so you want a bite that you just bite through.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
So I did all right going filet.
Oh, that's the way I make it.
Okay,
with filet.
That was my biggest question.
Of course,
to you.
mushrooms, but
lots of mushrooms.
You got. I mean, it's kind of critical in the dish, but my wife won't eat the mushrooms, but she didn't mind them being incorporated in the dish. So if you cut up the mushrooms big enough, she's okay with it.
Yep.
And then of course, you got a nice cream sauce. You batch cook the sear the filet. That's how I did it, or at least how I do it.
And the way I did it, I cut them into chunks.
Okay, yeah.
And I put them in a hot skillet.
Same.
Just kind of toss them, let them get a nice brown on all sides.
And then you
pull them out.
deglaze. And,
deglaze. Built my sauce up. I actually cooked the mushrooms after that. I deglazed the pan, then threw the mushrooms in, and started building that way.
I believe the dish origin is an original Russian dish.
Is it really?
But someone
France
brought it back to France.
They steal everything.
And they made it better. And then they brought it back to Russia. And Russia was like,
that's ours?
Yeah. We don't know about this old dish. This is the dish we like. So
this is now the version we call beef stroganoff, the French dish.
And there was actually a stroganoff family that was quite
offended.
I don't know about offended, but they were quite wealthy in Russia. So I wonder if it had any ties to them.
I thought you were going to say that they were offended that the French took that dish and then changed it.
I mean, if you think about Russian history, potatoes weren't really a thing in Russia until Peter the Great brought them over from Europe.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. How do you know so much about Russian history?
I have no clue. You just I have no clue. But
all right, Cap Franc, what's your next wine?
I said the right.
You said Right Bank Bordeaux. I'm going to go let's just call it Bordeaux.
Okay.
Because I think Bordeaux in general, whether you're going to go left or right bank, can't go wrong for a winter wine.
I mean, with a steak, great. With anything beef, great.
And let's say that we're going to talk about maybe a few dishes that we like a particular wine with, but there's plenty of other wines that can go with it. This food and wine pairings, it's somewhat subjective. There's some things that you should be aware of, but for the most part, there's not a wrong answer, so to speak.
Not really.
A lot of these wines could fit anywhere. You could plug and play as you wanted to. It's just our preference for what we're having, what we like. So I just want to say that it's not you have to have this with that dish. It's just any of these would work with multiple things. You could have a steak and have a
Syrah,
a right bank, a left bank, a Cab Franc. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you could have.
Some from California.
Sure.
I mean, whatever. It doesn't really matter.
So we just want to preface by saying, when we talk about food and wine, we're not telling you have to have that wine with that food. It's just something we enjoy with that food.
Yep, for sure. So I just like those wines. I mean, obviously Bordeaux's are blends.
Yep.
But you're talking about the two primary grapes depending on which area. You're talking about Cabernet Sauvignon or you're talking about Merlot.
Yep.
And I think the blends kind of vary, depending on you can really pretty much segment it on those two grapes as far as left bank and right bank. But as far as getting down into, Cab Franc, things that are blended into.
Right bank is typically led, like you said, with Cabernet Sauvignon, and the second grape is Merlot. When you go to the right bank, what did I say? Did I say right bank?
You said right
Left bank is usually
Cabernet Sauvignon.
And second grape,
Merlot.
Right bank is Merlot leading the way, second grape, Cab Franc.
Yes.
And sometimes there might be a blend of something like, to your point, a little Cabernet Sauvignon or something else in there. But you don't see a whole lot of Petit Verdot used anymore, or Malbec, or, what are traditionally thought to be the five grapes or six grapes, I guess you would say, of Bordeaux.
Yeah. Right.
Seems like it's those three are the biggest players: the Cab Franc, the Merlot, and the Cabernet Sauvignon.
For sure. And most people know this, but great wines to put age on for the most part. Depending on the season, you can look up all that information. People track all that and drink now, hold, all this kind of stuff, which doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
But it's just general guidelines.
And let's talk a little bit about, part of the reason we're talking about regions for these varieties is explore. Go find wines, try wines from different areas. But when we bring up Bordeaux, I think sometimes there's this perception of too expensive to drink wine there. It's really not.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some extremely coveted, extremely expensive bottles of wine, the first growths that come out of there. But overall, as a region, you can still find some pretty good value there. You just need to know where to look. You need to work a little bit. There is an argument that what I get in value there for the price I have to pay, I can get same grapes made in a new world region like Argentina or somewhere else for maybe a little bang for my buck. Maybe. But there's still something to be said for tasting wine from these regions and understanding what that profile kind of is, what that sense of terroir is. Do you get that sense of place when you drink wine from Bordeaux? Because that's what France is all about, a sense of place for their wines. That's why it's by region, not by grapes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I could put a couple of bottles that are in there, that cost me under $30. They're
bangers,
total bangers.
Yeah.
From Bordeaux.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's you can find things everywhere,
and that's our point. We want the whole point of this show and having these conversations, and you and I going through the journey as well. We're still exploring. We're finding new grapes, new regions to drink. And that's the message we're trying to send is, if you've not tried wines from these regions, if you're listening to this and going, I love Cabernet Sauvignon, but I only drink it from Napa. Well, go try Argentina, go try Chile, go try Australia, go try Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Try it from somewhere else and just see. With an open mind, not an expectation of it needs to be like this, with an open mind of what is it like there.
There's some great Super Tuscans that have Cabernet Sauvignon.
Great point. Absolutely.
So there are areas that have these grapes represented very strongly. So give them a try.
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to throw another one at you that I've been enjoying for a while this year.
Okay.
Tempranillo.
Oh, I mean, it's great. To me, I'll drink it all year round, but
I don't. It's still kind of a.
It's I think it's just because of it's less about when you think I don't know. Could you kind of divide it up a little bit? Like I do this because when I think of like Bordeaux or like some of the Napa wines or something like that, they're big wines, but you can kind of it's not like they have the tannins to them, but it's not like Tannenbaum.
Oh, agreed.
Like with Tempranillo, it's like, okay, that could be a Tannenbaum, and that's the reason I would drink it like more in the wintertime is because of that, not necessarily the body of it.
Okay. I get some that can be big tannins. I get some that can be a little more subtle. I think part of it is how they're blending or what's the percent of Tempranillo versus the blending grape, because the blending grape there is typically Grenache.
Grenache, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And, for this wine, I typically get like cherry, dried fig, cedar, some tobacco, earthy undertones, but it always has that bright acidity.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that comes from the Grenache as well.
Okay.
That's in there. It's a wine that, for whatever reason, I tend to want like a big paella or like more of a Cajun type of, a jambalaya or something like that, a gumbo. I don't know if it's just why I want those things with this kind of wine, but it's what draws me to it for some reason.
Chili would work with it? I was kind of thinking about that a little bit.
Very well could. I have my chili wine, but you've already mentioned it. But
you like the Zinfandel with it? Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's a great wine. But like I think of spicy food, and I think of kind of Tempranillo could kind of go with like the spicy food a little bit. Might be good for that. I think Tempranillo can go with kind of like
it can go with red meat. It can go with anything.
I mean, even like a pork dish or something like
that's
that.
a good call. Yeah,
it's something like that.
Yeah, that's a great call.
Oh, Tempranillo would be great with pulled pork sliders.
Okay, when you said pork dish, I went pulled pork right away.
Yeah.
Sliders or pulled pork sandwich, just a big old pile of pulled pork, smoky and
that'd be pretty good. So I'm with you on Tempranillo. I mean, I guess
it is one of those grapes that you don't see in a lot of places.
No,
but I will tell you
kind of just Spain, right? I mean, do we have any over here?
In Texas.
Oh Lord, no.
There's a few people who make it pretty well.
I need to try this.
Yeah. You want to try the wine?
Yeah.
Is it opening up?
I'm aggressively swirling now.
That's what she said.
I got you on that one.
Yeah. Shake. You're aggressively swirling now.
After, is she opening up?
Is she opening up? After aggressively swirling. Yeah. She's
that was a good one.
It's a family show here.
Yeah. 18 and older family.
Sandra's sitting there shaking her head. But anyway, I mean, Tempranillo is great, man. I mean,
they do make some decent ones over here in Texas.
I would like to actually try that wine.
Yeah, I have a couple in the fridge from a producer that Adega Vino.
Okay,
which is one of our favorite Texas. I just try to cut out words. I like to blend it so everybody understands. One of my Texas wineries. Favorite Texas wineries.
I'm really trying to condense the podcast more.
You guys need to figure this out. One of my Texas
shorthand
wineries.
Speaking.
Yeah. They do a great job and really have some delicious wines, and Tempranillos are one that they do really, really well.
Okay.
So, we'll open up one of those at one of our next dinners.
Okay.
And let you see what you think. Because I got a Reserva from them too from 2015 or 16 that we'll need to pop and see where it's standing right now.
So I'm going to throw a wild card at you next.
Okay.
I don't think you particularly like this wine.
Okay.
But when I think of, and it really doesn't pair with many cuisines, I don't think that I think it's a standalone wine.
Now you got me curious. I'm going
Amarone.
Oh, I think that can go with some food, but it's not going to be something. It's not a wine I gravitate to.
I know it isn't.
It's getting more, into a dessert type of wine or port. Just the process that they make that wine.
But for a drinker, just to have a glass, I kind of think of maybe the fall time, like a.
Well, I would agree.
Like that's kind of what and I haven't really gotten it. I used to really like them a lot, particularly like more Ripasso than Amarone specific, because it's just so much less expensive. But like Amarone, I used to really like them quite a lot. So I'm gonna make it one of my, I guess, from now on, until it gets warm, resolutions to try a few more of those.
Well, when you buy them, call me and I'll come over and try them with you.
Yeah, I mean,
Sandra and I used to like them, and I think for a younger palate, it's kind of got that bigger, richer, kind of sweeter, kind of, just because it's getting, the way they dry those grapes out, and they get a little bit less extraction, so it's more sweet. And
it's a crazy process the way that they make that wine. Which...
I'm at a point now where if I'm going to get that style of it, I'd rather go all the way to a Madeira or a port,
a fortified wine, or a dessert
just
wine.
Let me just go all the way. Don't tease me.
I don't know. I'm just I kind of just want to try some more of them again and to see where I'm at. Maybe I hate them, but I do think they are fall.
I agree.
Winter wines.
Yeah, I would agree. You drink that in the summer, you're just it's crazy.
And they're high alcohol too.
Yeah, 15.5, 16%.
And I think that's another thing that we need to bring up is, when you're thinking of winter weather wines or fall weather wines, the alcohol content tends to increase a little bit too.
From white wine to red wine.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. And that's a great point. Because you do want that. The more alcohol, to your point, warms you up a little bit on a cold night sitting out back. That's why you tend to see people drink, whiskeys neat in the wintertime, sipping around, a fire or something. That's why people go to the ski slopes and have a flask with something to keep them warm,
That's drinking really well right now, dude.
I was just going to say that. Try that now. See how she's opening up.
She's opened up and she's ready.
She's ready.
Yeah.
She's prime.
Yeah. I'm ready to dive in. But anyway.
She tastes good.
Yeah. But anyway, I think Amarone is kind of, it's kind of my wild card on the list.
That's a good wild card. That's a pretty good one.
It's just people think, oh, that's so played. Like a lot of people, it's known as.
Well, I think when the people with that thought are the wine nerds we know.
Yeah.
I think the general population of people getting into wine that discover that absolutely love it. Because that's part of the journey.
Yeah.
And I think the wintertime, if you're going to explore and find something that you might enjoy, say you've always been drinking cabs or something and you want to try something different, I think you make a great point. That's a great suggestion to try.
Yeah.
So I think most people who like a cab, going to that, it's going to be different, noticeably different.
Yes.
And the possibility of them liking it, I think, is pretty high.
Yep. Big viscous wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So anyway, what's yours?
Next one on my list is tied to a cuisine that I enjoy cooking. And getting into winter, I can make I eat a lot more pastas with sauces, red sauces and things.
Okay.
So Sangiovese. Even though do you
ever stop drinking that?
I was just going to say, it's kind of that wine that carries over from the summer to winter. I do drink it in the summer, just like all these wines on occasion in the summer, just not at the level. I'm about to start tearing up some Sangiovese.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be like a every night type of affair,
Yeah. Instead of, making this dish every month or a dish that would work every month.
Sure.
Now it's going to be 3 dishes a week that would work. Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
I love Sangiovese.
Well, me too. I mean, I'd say like, are we going to lump Brunello into that?
Sangiovese?
Into Sangiovese?
Yeah, it could be Vino Nobile de Montepulciano. Montepulciano. Oh, no.
Not
Montepulciano. Montepulciano. I got to get all those right.
Vino Nobile or Brunello?
Brunello or Chianti Classico Reserva.
Yeah. I think all of that's great.
Yeah. Some Secrantino Rosso.
I never kicked those out of bed.
No. I said Secrantino Rosso. I mean Montefalco Rosso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you on this.
Yeah, Sangiovese, baby.
But the great thing about that is, and like when you're thinking about the Sangiovese, think of all the foods that are winter foods that go with it. I mean, like to me, it's like pastas, bolognese. Like,
can I fire my next one then?
Go
Same country, Nebbiolo, Barbarescos and Barolos. Winter with some. Now you're getting back into a steak wine or a big red wine or risottos or bolognese or.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean,
something with a rich sauce. You got the tannins in there to cut through that richness.
Man, I almost think like, did I make that? I did make that straccato for you. The pot roast with the tagliatelle pasta.
Yes. Absolutely. Are you going to make that again soon?
the weather's right. So yes,
it's on deck.
But I think something like that would.
We need to start building our winter menu.
We do. Oh, that could be a great episode.
That
Building our winter, our winter favorites or our
Yeah.
winter menus.
Yeah.
But that it's got it's braised in wine.
Yeah.
So naturally, you're already halfway there.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you've got rosemary, and you've got thyme, and you've got carrots, and you've got all of the good things. And I could think of nothing better than a Barbaresco or a Barolo to have with that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, and I like the idea because it's got some Parmesan cheese. That Parmesan cheese kind of going with the Nebbiolo.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
Good stuff.
That sounds good.
Yeah. What's next? Do you have another one?
Yeah. Let me adjust my seating here. So I'm actually going to go with, I thought about this. I was kind of back and forth on a few different wines here, but I think I'm going to go, and I know it's on your list, so I'm sorry for pilfering you.
No. I figure our list would have a lot of
Malbec.
crossover. Oh, yeah. Malbec's one of mine and Sandra's favorites.
I think you just got to go Malbec.
It's also one of my, when I have a big pot of chili, open a Zinfandel,
that's so
open a
good.
Malbec,
That's
both of them. And,
good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
But also pairs well with a steak.
Yeah. Again, a lot of crossover on what you could have with They're just these winter type meals. All these wines can play. And who knows? 1 week have that meal with, one of these wines, and a month later make it again and try a different wine with it. See what you like.
Oh, that's wine's drinking really well.
Oh,
right
my
now.
gosh.
Yeah, it's like that's now we're in the money. We're in the
Now
money.
we're in the money.
She's
She's prime.
she's prime. Malbec it's a fantastic wine. I mean, you can get some great value out of Argentina. You can also pay some money out of some
Argentina.
Argentinian Malbecs. I mean, I guess Mendoza is pretty much the primary area, but I think there are some other areas.
There are some others, but I would say Mendoza's the when you start looking at what's distributed a ton and where you can get some value, it's a good place to start.
Yeah. So you could dip your toe into Malbec.
Yep, and get into chili too. For some good value.
For sure. But are there any other growing regions? I guess
you can get Malbecs. You're going to pay a little more in Napa.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some good Malbecs that come out of Napa, but they are a little bit pricier. One that some people like is the Voyage series from Camus. I think they're on Voyage number 11, but and the reason they call it the Voyage, if I'm not mistaken, it's because the grapes are grown in Mendoza, shipped on the Voyage, the boat on it, up to Napa, and then they press and make the wines there. The grapes are shipped up. So
what's the price tag on one of those bottles?
about $50.
Okay, not that bad.
No, not that bad. It's actually a wine that I don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to. I still have some. I think.
Is it like Jefferson's Ocean? You taste the salt.
Well, no, I don't think you get that. I've never had a Jefferson's Ocean.
You've never had those?
No, it never interests me. Any Jeffersons never really interests me.
It is kind of an interesting drink. And now we're getting into whiskey. This is what this show does.
Food, wine, and whiskey.
Yeah, we're on topic for the show title.
That's right.
But yeah, I actually think they're interesting drinks. But it's certainly not a go-to.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason I've never tried one is I don't have any friends. I don't see any on your shelf.
No. I mean, they're about $80.
That's my point. I'm not going to buy one. But if a friend had one and said, you want to try it? I'd sure try one.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to spend $80 to try one. So, yeah, there you go on that. Okay, so you took my Malbec.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw you one that is another crossover one, but I think goes with a lot of summer type meals that aren't as heavy, but also can, punch with the big boys when needed. That's Pinot Noir.
Particularly Burgundy.
Yes.
I would say yes.
I would say Burgundy, and I've also found some New Zealand and Australian that when we had a Philip Bass last night from Australia.
Is that the
both were just blown
the meal
away.
you cooked last night?
The lamb. We had a rack of lamb.
Yeah, I was a little jealous of that.
Yeah, it was pretty good, buddy.
Yeah, that looked good. That looked good. A friend of the show, Chris Francis, was over last night, and he was like, "You got to look and see what Rob cooked tonight." I was like, "Damn, that looked good."
Yeah, just me and Sandra. The Missouri game was on at 6:30
Yeah.
against, and I told her, "You know what? I'm going to cook something good for the game."
And you sure did. Well, at least they brought home a win.
They brought home a win.
You know?
I was in the mood for a Pinot Noir for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I hadn't had one in a week or two or a couple weeks. And I was like, what can I make with that? And I went, lamb. Called my buddy at HEB and said, you got any racks of lamb, man? And he goes, we just got them in. So he saved me one. And
Hell yeah.
I hadn't done a rack of lamb in a while.
That sounds great.
But it was delicious. Something I need to do for us because the herb
What was that,
rub,
pesto that you put on the outside or
it's
something?
an herb rub. So what you do is, again, food, wine, and whiskey. So we get to talk about this. I took the lamb, and what I did was I cut them into twos. Took the rack of 8, made 2 sets, and then seared them. I took some a pan with some avocado oil, a higher heat oil.
Yeah,
just crushed 6 cloves of garlic, threw it in there until it got like golden brown. The garlic,
yeah, nice
to flavor that oil, and then pulled the garlic out, and then seared
the lamb. Yeah,
and then once I got that seared, I pulled those out. Let them cool, and in the meantime, I went ahead and built the crust that I was putting on it. And what that was rosemary.
Yeah,
it was Italian parsley, Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, those garlic cloves thrown in, some breadcrumbs. I use the panko. I'm just a fan of panko.
Yeah, me too.
And salt and pepper.
Nice.
And you put that in a food processor, and you just let it all blend up with that rosemary, the garlic, and salt, pepper, and cheese. And then when you take it out, it's all ready to go. I put it in a big dish, laid out. But before you're going, okay, well, you got a bread. What's the wet ingredient on the lamb? Well, it's a whole grain mustard that you brush all over.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Brush that mustard all over, and then press it into the crumbs of this herb topping, and then throw it in the oven for about 20, 25 minutes, 400, till it reaches 130 internal. Pull those bad boys out, let them rest, and you saw the picture.
Well, not a reverse sear, but just like a traditional. So you sear and then
put in.
Yeah.
Because you're finishing them in there.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you want to see a picture of that, again.
Yeah, Food, Wine, and Whiskey Facebook page. Come on now.
Join us there.
Join the movement, to the moon.
Yeah, because we would love to have some more interaction on the group, and it'll be a way for us to kind of get some feedback and thoughts and opinions from our listeners. We'd love to have you join us at Food, Wine, and Whiskey on Facebook. It is a private group, so it's got about 700 members now. We'd like to see that grow. If you're hearing this and you want to get involved or start seeing what we're cooking and eating, you hear us talk about things, definitely join.
Yeah.
We'll get you in there and let you start participating. We'd love to have you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're even doing fun events like having a golf tournament.
That's a great point. Yeah, we are. This next weekend, we're playing in the first annual Food, Wine, and Whiskey 2-man scramble golf tournament.
That's right.
With a Birdies, Bottles, and Burgers backyard burger bash to follow.
Heck yeah! So
be a fun Saturday.
You can bet there's going to be some wines and there's going to be some whiskeys and there's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
And I will say this too. You're pretty good about keeping pictures and things like that going on Instagram as well.
Yep.
So you can find
Food, Wine, and Whiskey on Instagram.
Food, Wine, and Whiskey.
Twitter as well.
Yeah. So all the social media sites and all that kind of thing.
Just the Facebook group is private, so it's just us related to Food, Wine, and Whiskey, where obviously the other ones are just a big public forum that people can follow.
Right, exactly. And you should check out Rob's OnlyFans too, if you really want to see some sexy
foot
pictures.
Fetish, mostly.
Yeah, mostly foot stuff. If you like videos of people pouring wine on feet, I mean, it's just great.
And Matt tears it up.
I mean, I'm all over it. But
the things you can do to a big toe, dude.
Oh gosh, woo. But anyway, so who did you go or did I go?
I did.
Okay, so my turn.
I went with Pinot Noir, and we talked about
That's right.
New Zealand,
That's right.
Australia.
So
not a huge fan of. I do find a few California or Oregon, but just more missed than hit. If I'm going to get a California one, I'm going right to Santa Barbara.
Yeah, sounds like it. I need to try some of those.
Yeah, that's a good place to go.
So I'm going to kind of go in a different direction here, and it's actually a little bit kind of it borders on the spirit world as well.
Oh, okay.
I think
we're about to hit that.
Yeah.
So you get to call one. You don't get to call the whole category.
One of the
whatever you're going to call it's one. You can't just say blank wines.
Okay, well, I'll just name one thing specifically in this
That's
category.
what I want. Okay.
I'm going to be drinking a lot of vermouth.
Oh, vermouth. Okay.
Which is a fortified wine.
Yep.
And I will be drinking that in Manhattans, Vieux Carrés. I'll be drinking that in all kinds of.
Do you drink it neat?
I will drink it neat, actually. Okay. A good quality one you can drink.
I know.
Neat.
I see that at dinners and stuff. They'll give you that to start.
It tastes great.
Yeah.
But
it's not where I thought you were going.
Yep, I know, yeah. But I'm a cocktail guy. Yeah. I know that you're not. You're getting into it.
I drink cocktails. I don't make cocktails.
Okay, so I'm an avid maker of cocktails.
Yeah.
So as you see up here, I actually have three on display wine based. Well, two wine based. I guess technically they'd be spirits, and then one fortified wine being sweet vermouth. Displayed up there for our next episode.
Yeah.
So, I'll be using a lot of vermouth these days.
Well, I'll kind of stay in that category with you for my next one.
Okay.
And again, I'm not going to go the category. I'll just go one that I've just absolutely fallen in love with in the last year.
I know what you're going to say.
Madeira.
Yep.
And I brought one today.
I can't wait to try it.
Sirasal that we can try.
Have not tried that one yet. You see, I've got that one down there that's right next to the... Yeah. I've not opened that yet, so... the good thing about Madeira is you can open it and
leave it open for a year and it ain't going to hurt it. It's oxidized.
Yeah.
And it's got that wintry kind of flavor to it. And
figs and things like that.
And it's a little higher alcohol. You're now pushing that 19%. It's just below 20. And it just screams fall and winter. It screams kind of the Christmas season a little bit.
Absolutely.
When it's cold outside, buy a fireplace. If you don't want a high-proof whiskey,
drink a Madeira.
A Madeira is a great choice. There's a couple other in the category. I'm not going to steal them all because you might want to mention another one.
Yeah.
But in that world of fortified wines, Madeira is a great one.
Yeah. I will mention this one. I don't want to use it as my turn, but... and I know you won't.
What do you mean? You're going to say one, but you're not going to use it as your turn?
It's something that I just want to try. I'm
just teasing you.
But so there's, I've had plenty of PX sherry.
Yeah.
But I have not had much Oloroso sherry.
Neither have I.
I have one. I think it's behind the Madeira bottle. Anyway, I have one, and I'm really excited to try it.
Because PX, for people who don't know, very sweet.
Very sweet. Yeah. Good. Really good.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to me, PX Sherry is a dessert wine. I mean, it's fortified, but it's a dessert wine.
And same with fortified wines. You can get dessert examples of them, and then you can get some dry examples of them.
Yeah. So I'd like to try some of these Oloroso sherries. I like it in the whiskey world quite a bit when things are aged in sherry. I think my next, I don't know. I mean, now we're getting into like things that I occasionally drink. I guess, you kind of stole a lot of the ones that I had on my list, Rob. I guess
we covered them together.
I would say this will be my final one.
Okay.
But Super Tuscans.
Okay, as a category. Okay.
Just
that region.
There's a lot. Obviously, you can get some big. You can get more. Sangiovese for. You can get. Cab Franc, Cab 7
Merlot.
You get all this kind of stuff. And there's some bigger wines in that category that can really be great in the wintertime.
Yeah. And I'll just throw port, and you mentioned sherry, so port's kind of the last one that goes into that fortified that I know of. Other than that, I would throw dessert wines. I think in the wintertime...
hits well,
because summertime, I'm not eating a lot of dessert. Again, you're on that kind of lighter... I mean, if you are, you might just have an ice cream and it's on its own because it's hot out or whatever. But in the wintertime, I'm making more desserts, whether it's pies or bread puddings or...
Totally get that.
Different kind of things. And so dessert wines, whether it's a Tokai, a Vinsanto, a Ricciato, or a Sauternes, something like that, a dessert wine can be really good in the winter.
One of my favorite desserts, and Yana loves it, my wife. It's Have you ever made a sticky toffee pudding before?
I've heard of it, but I don't know that I've ever made it. Let me say that again. I know I've never made it. I don't know that I've ever tried it.
Man, that dessert screams dessert wine.
Really?
I mean, it's like, the toffee kind of roasted, like that.
But are you wanting a fortified wine with that, or are you going to go like a Sauternes or something?
I might go Sauternes. I might go like, or even you could do a PX Sherry, something sweet.
Yeah.
With that, I think it screams that.
So those who don't know about dessert wines, the dessert wine should be sweeter than the dessert you're having.
Yes.
A lot of people are like, it's too sweet. On its own, yes, but take a bite of your whatever
dessert,
and then have a little taste of that wine, and you're going to go, okay, that works. So
I wouldn't mind trying a Tokai or something with a cigar.
Ooh, that could be interesting.
I know port wine is oftentimes consumed.
Oh, absolutely.
You drink that with a cigar.
You drink that? Yeah, absolutely.
I've not done that really. So, I mean, I really have no idea.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to think, there's other wines I enjoy drinking. They're going to be more kind of off the beaten path. I don't want to mention those because these are more of what I call the mainstay grapes, the mainstream grapes. Did we mention Merlot at all?
Yeah, we did mention it.
They want to drink Merlot. We're drinking Merlot.
No, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot.
You gotta like that, dude.
It's so funny. And he's just Paul Giamatti as an actor. I mean, like he always plays like the parts that you hate.
Yeah.
Like he's always kind of the guy that you just can't stand. But like he's got to be a great actor. Or he is a great actor.
Now, I will throw out one more style of wine grape that I'm looking forward to drinking. It's not really, the blend makes it kind of a winter wine for me. The lead grape is more red. It's a thinner, it's the Grenache is the lead grape.
Yeah.
But it's that, Mourvedre, Syrah, Grenache, a GSM blend.
Yeah.
And Châteauneuf-du-Pape is the region. I love Châteauneuf-du-Papes, and in the fall and winter with a lot of the richer type foods, it still works, and it's one that I enjoy. And there's actually some good GSMs that come out of Paso, some good GSMs that come out of Napa.
Yeah.
So there's some other regions you can get a GSM blend.
Sure.
And they do a really good job. So that's one I would just throw in at the end here.
Yeah. I agree. I was actually kind of thinking to myself, man, we haven't mentioned Southern Rhone. But I always think kind of Grenache, like kind of in between, I could... certainly you can drink it, and for winter meals, but it doesn't really
with the blend, with the GSM when you get the Syrah and the Mourvedre in there, it works pretty good.
Yeah.
And Gigondas would be another one.
Gigondas, for sure.
Those are ones. I didn't lead with that because it's more of a region you really need that blend in there. You know? I love Grenache, but on its own, 100% probably not. But blended in a Tempranillo, or like we said here, the lead grape, but blended with the bigger Syrahs and stuff, it makes it work.
Yep.
Something I enjoy.
Definitely.
And looking forward to drinking this fall.
Sure. Awesome,
man.
man.
I kind of feel like we're missing something, but I don't know what it is. And again, not just wine, grapes of the world, but one specifically that might be mainstream, so to speak. A lot of people know about it. But if we're missing it, like we said, jump on the Facebook page, Food, Wine, and Whiskey.
Say, you guys totally missed
this I can't believe you didn't say this.
Yeah, and we'll be like, duh, darn, but anyway.
Oops. Yeah.
We did our best. Sorry.
That's right. Well, fun episode, man.
Absolutely, man.
Always enjoy talking wine.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.
Cheers.